Well, hey everyone, I'm here with the Charles Tweedy, um, and he is an amazing alumni, and we're excited to talk to him about what he's been up to and what God's been teaching. He's one of our original alumni, going all the way back. So, uh, Charles, how'd you introduce yourself and tell us when you graduated and how long you were in CSF and all those good details?
Hey, CF family, my name is Charles Tweedy. I graduated in 2016 from the Kelly School of Business. I was involved with the ministry for about 2.5 years. Uh, I was blessed enough for 2 of those years, I got to serve as the VP of service with an awesome team.
And you were our very first vice president of service, weren't you?
Yeah, it's like me, Zach, Haley, and I believe Lisa. Like we were one of the
Yeah,
first four groups.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, because going all the way back, we just had Caitlin as our president. She was our only officer
And
when
then
we
you up
first
by
met you.
four, so we really been
Yeah,
growing.
that's some Kelly scale right there. So, what have you been up to since graduating, Charles?
Since graduating, I continued to stay in the movie theater uh, industry. I worked up to deputy general manager for about 4 more years, and then COVID hit us, so we were furloughed for about 7 months. Our theater came back, then our company decided to furlough us again, so we were down for another 8 months. And
Mm,
during that entire process, I was blessed to have an amazing support with friends, family, just constantly giving me prayer and support that God would lead me to my next job. And
right.
about a month after we came back, I got the advice to apply to DFAS, Defense Financial and Accounting Services.
Okay.
I applied there once, didn't get the job, and then one of my coworkers who worked there said, "Try one more time. It's always hard to get in." I said, why not? Applied once more. About 5 months later, got the job offer and just hit my 1 year mark a few months ago and have been loving it ever since.
Praise God. Oh man,
Amen.
we you and I reconnected a few years ago when you were in that awful time of waiting with COVID and the theater hadn't reopened and trying to figure out where you're going to live and all the details. And it's just so cool to hear about God's faithfulness. It shouldn't surprise us. We act
Yeah.
surprised when he provides, but that you ended up in such a good spot and he took care of you all along. We were joking before we started the recording about I-Corps and how if you could survive I-Corps with your senses about you, then you can make it through anything, right,
Oh, yeah.
Charles? Okay.
Shout out to
That's
all the
awesome.
I-Corps people out there. You can do it. You can make it through.
We've got a few students in I-Corps this semester. It,
Ooh,
it, it only goes as well as your group. I've never personally been through it at IUPUI,
yes.
but I've walked alongside of quite a few of you as you stress through that situation. So, yeah, we're praying for all of you out there. um, Along that, how has God caused your faith in Jesus to kind of collide with your work? I know even in college you were involved working at the movie theater. I remember you brought a giant bag of popcorn to Life Group one time,
Oh,
and
Breakfast of Champions right there.
I think we were eating on that for days. It's pretty awesome. But how have you seen that collide in your work so far in the theater, and now in your new job? How have you seen that um, intersect?
I admit for the first couple years after college, it was getting I was getting a little bitter about it because the nature of the movie theater, we're primarily busy on weekends and holidays. And my
Mm,
position, I was second in charge of the building. So there were times that I would have to leave in the middle of service or miss service completely to handle something at the theater, or we were just understaffed.
Mm,
And our church was growing at a great rate, that we would have volunteer help functions and just different events that I was not able to attend. And our church kept
right.
saying, "Hey, we need volunteers, we need help." And I was starting to
Mm,
get a little attitude with God, saying, "I was like, well, God, they need help, but you won't give me a new job to help them with, so this is kind of on you." And luckily, I had some great coworkers who were also strong in faith, and they kind of like reeled me in. They said, like, the time will come. He's like, you don't know his timing, but he has the perfect spot and time for you for a new job. So just be patient, be calm, and know his plans. And that
mm,
really helped me through the first couple of years, and then through being furloughed, and now having a job that I never thought I would be in, to
mm,
now I have the opportunity to attend church uninterrupted, help with
mm.
services, gathering, volunteering. So I'm sure God's looking down, going, "It's like, yeah, you see, you listen, you get to do all this stuff you were
Right.
groaning you couldn't do before. It's like now you're able to
Mm.
do everything." And I'm just blessed and humbled every time I help out at events, that it's only because through prayer and support I was able to get the position I'm in now.
Yeah, and do you think that like Paul in Corinth, when Jesus tells him, he's like, "Hey, I've got many people in this place," like that's true in any context. Um, Maybe not. There's not always many in every place, but there's more than you think. I think people are being kind of quiet about it until we have the guts to say something, like you expressing yourself, like, I'm so frustrated that I can't worship on Sundays, because everybody doesn't know this that's listening or watching this, but your parents are like original Traders Point
Oh yeah.
members, Traders Point Christian Church, going all the way back to the days when it was small.
Yeah, oh
I
yeah, back
mean,
to single.
relatively small, in comparison to what it is now.
Yeah, yeah.
um, and so that's just, it's just so neat that you're able to see God's faithfulness. But in the moment, you're right. You're kind of cheating on my prayer time that I was having earlier. I was praying those same things, you know. How dare you convict me, Charles?
So I'm here
But
for.
but what would you say is the most valuable lesson that you learned while being involved in CSF? Going all the way back, actually, when you were involved, we were Impact, and in 2020 we became an independent nonprofit. And we're known as Christian Student Fellowship. But what would you say is the most valuable lesson you learned being involved in our campus ministry?
Most valuable lesson is community and getting involved. It can
Mm,
be easy to be one of those students, and I was one of them for the first couple of years. Like, you get up, you go to campus, you do your work, and then you go home, and you should repeat that for the next 4 years.
mhm,
Community is very important, because I can remember when I first started out, all it took was a little flyer on the bulletin board in the campus center, and I said,
yeah.
"Oh, I got a free Tuesday. I'll go to the worship night." And that worship night turned into attending a small group, then getting involved with you, and then with the worship
Mhm.
production team, to then serving as one of the leaders for service. And so it's just been incredible to see how just one little worship night caused my next like 2.5 years just to be completely changed by that one little flyer.
And I vividly remember meeting you that first night. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I remember walking up to you. We were in the campus center up there on the third floor or fourth floor. I can't remember which floor it was. You were across the room and you were standing by yourself. And I came over to talk to you. And I was like, and after I got done talking to you, I'm like, man, I hope he sticks around, because we could really be blessed by having Charles as a part of CSF. Um, and you did. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Just the energy and the authenticity, and then meeting your parents. It's just the same way. I mean, it's apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Just authentic, Jesus loving people, and so it's just so neat to see how that's kind of come full circle.
I remember
Um,
when I first attended, it was almost not selfish reasons, but I looked at who was preaching and I was like, Aaron Brock. I'm like, oh, I know Aaron. I guess I'll go since we go to the same church. And I'm
yeah,
hoping that if it was a different preacher, I would still come. But I was like, oh, I know Aaron. It's like, see how he
right.
preaches a college student. So
Yeah, the odd that was 2014. So the odds of us getting Aaron Brockett to speak at a current event are probably none. But back then, the church was a measly 1,500 people or something,
just one
which is
building,
still
couple of
an insane
services, but
amount of people. Yeah, but the timing, he never spoke again on campus for us. That was the only time, and that was your very first time,
yeah,
and it was just so cool. I mean, God working and moving, and he not only spoke. I don't know if you remember that he stayed 45 minutes afterward. He was talking to people, eating pizza with the
oh yeah.
students, sitting around, and it was just such a formational night for us because it was one of our first times where we had a decent turnout. I think I can't even remember when. Maybe in February of 2014. So we had just started in August. Um, so anyway, um, what would you say, like, some of those lessons that you learned in CSF, how does that kind of play out today? And how does that kind of affect your work, your new job, serving in the church? I know you're involved in a pretty awesome young adults ministry in Indianapolis as well still. So how do you use that in your life today?
So that was like a big thing I learned with the community was after college, there's not a lot of like young adult ministries that are around the church. And so I was just talking with one of my friends after church one Sunday. He said, "Yeah, there's a group of us. We'll sometimes get lunch afterwards, and then we've started playing volleyball on Tuesday nights." So a group of us started attending that, and it got to about 20, 30 people would show up. And then Northview started doing an unofficial young adults thing where we would meet uh, every other month. And then it started becoming regular to where it was like a monthly thing.
Yeah.
And now we're just grateful that we got to be partnered with a young adults program at a Watermark church in Dallas called The Porch. And
Wow.
I'm just honored and blessed that I get to serve on the leadership team with the Porch Indie Live team. That every now we're a weekly thing. We meet every Thursday at 7:30 at the Binford Northview campus, and it's just a great time because the young adults in 20s and 30s, that's a section that's not really hit. And we have, I think last we checked, we had 17 different churches represented in that young adults ministry, and ages from recently college graduates to those who've been in the work industry. So it's just a great
That,
experience to come alongside with other people to know that you're not alone. Like we're here from you. It's like we
oh
share
man.
struggles, and it's just a great time.
As you know, I'm a note taker. Yeah, no, I wasn't planning to do this during this live call like this, but 17 different churches, Thursdays, what time?
Doors open at 7:15. Program starts at 7:30,
Okay.
and
Well,
we're actually one of our alums, Taylor. She sings on the worship team, so we
no,
have
she
other.
doesn't. That's
So it's
awesome.
it's just a great time catching up with fellow alums and those from other schools and those who may have not come from a background, just to let them know that like we're here for you.
Yeah. So if you're in the Indianapolis area and you're not having any community right now, kind of missing it, maybe especially um, if you don't feel like you fit anywhere in the local church. I mean, that's kind of a hard thing, or if you're attending someplace and there's not a whole lot of people your age, Thursday nights, Benford Northview campus, 7:15 Thursday nights.
And we
I
also
think
have
that,
another location in Greater Lafayette and area. We launched that location about a year ago, so we're now up to two Indie Live locations. So we just keep growing and growing, and it's a blessing.
it's awesome, man. I'm so proud of you for being willing to step out. It's just so great. I mean, what a blessing. I mean, it's all Jesus, but that you were
Oh,
willing to be
yes.
obedient. So, yeah. And then all that. I mean, even when I first met you, you were doing the sound for the children's ministry. I remember you telling me that first night we met. I was like, wow, that's cool. So what advice would you give? I know we kind of already kind of stepped into this question, but what advice would you give to your fellow CSF alum that are watching this right now? And then maybe some advice for some current students. We kind of gave some I-Core advice earlier, but
Yeah.
what advice would you give to the alum and then our current students?
For the alum, don't be afraid to reach out. I know I'm guilty of not connecting very much with fellow alum, but I was just reminded this past weekend of how important it can be. We celebrated my niece's birthday, and my brother and sister-in-law, they're still in communication with friends. They graduated from college in 2009. They drove states away to come celebrate, and they're still in good communication, still talking, chatting, remembering. So,
Mm,
uh, alum, let's not sever that connection. Let's still stay involved, even if it's just an email, text, message. Let's never forget like who we are and where we came from.
mm.
And to the current students, don't procrastinate. Like you could be one of those students that goes to school, goes home, school home, and then you'll get involved with 1 year of the ministry. You'll come to
Mm,
graduation and realize I should have done so much more, and that was me. I wish I would have done a
mm,
lot more with the ministry, started a lot earlier. So get out, get involved, find community. It's going to be a great experience, and you'll meet more and more people that you may not have even realized were your alum. That's happened to me a
mm.
couple times. I've been to other church gatherings,
Yeah,
and I've met. It's like you know CFS, you know Andrew, I know Andrew, and we just go like back and forth, and we didn't even
yeah,
realize we ran into each other. So it's a
yeah.
small world.
Hmm. Oh, that's good. And you kind of touched on it, but last summer we did our first ever CSF alum cookout, and it was so much fun. Just laughing and sharing stories and eating and hanging out. I just hope we have a better turnout this summer. So be on the lookout for us sending out potential dates for us to do that on a Saturday or a time that would work for everybody. And really excited about reconnecting with everybody that can make it back for that. So, well, hey, Charles, I'm so thankful that you took the time just to answer these questions. It's not going to be the last time that we reconnect, but it's so great to get an update on how you're doing. And also, I just love your words about procrastination. I know I laughed when you said procrastination because the DNA of a college student is procrastination. Let's put it
Oh yeah,
off. I used to do that. I had a 30-hour project that I tried to do in one night when I was in college, and I think every college student's done that. But that's so true.
oh
You say, I might get involved in a campus ministry later on, or the one that I'm attending. I might invest more time into these people next year when I have more time. You won't have time. You got to
yeah,
make time. You got to make it a priority. And that is even true now that I'm 40. You have to make time for Christian community. It's not just going to happen. And then when you step out, then God's already ahead of you, already has the connections. He's already got a plan.
yeah.
And that's what we're seeing in your life right now. So that's awesome. Well, Charles, hope you have a great rest of your day. And thanks for spending time with us. And already excited for the next time when we get to connect.
Thanks, Andrew. Great catching up with you guys and the alumni family.
All right. We'll catch up with you soon.
All right, have a good one, guys.